Hi everyone, my name is Melissa van Dijk, and in today's video I want to talk about what actually happens if you don't exfoliate your skin. Because if you look this up on Google and you type something like what happens if you don't exfoliate your face, you will get somewhere saying things like this. Not exfoliating your face causes a buildup of dead skin cells, leading to dull, rough skin, clogged pores, increased breakouts, less effective absorption of skincare products, and even more visible signs of aging. Now, not exfoliating your face can mean that dead skin cells sit a bit longer at the surface. So yes, the skin can sometimes look a little duller or feel a bit rougher. And that part is true. But then it goes on to say that this leads to clogged pores, increased breakouts, less effective absorption of skincare products, and even more visible signs of aging. And that's where it becomes completely misleading. Not because every word in that explanation is false, but because it mixes surface effects with deeper skin biology as if they were the same thing. And this is something Google summaries do quite a lot. And when Google does that, exfoliation starts to sound like something the skin needs in order to function properly. But that's not really how skin works. So let's separate a few things here. Because first of all, your skin is always renewing itself. New skin cells are constantly being made in the deeper layers and then moving upward over time. That process doesn't depend on exfoliation. And it doesn't slow down if you stop exfoliating and your skin doesn't forget how to shed on its own. What does change without exfoliation is what happens at the surface. When you don't exfoliate, dead skin cells are still shedding, but they may not shed as evenly. So the surface can sometimes look a bit rougher, less smooth, a little duller, especially if your skin naturally holds on to those cells a bit longer. And this is where a lot of the confusion comes from. Because surface buildup and deeper skin renewal often get talked about as if they were the same thing, even though they are not. Not exfoliating doesn't cause skin renewal to fail. It just means the surface isn't being actively smoothed out. And the same idea applies to pores. You will often hear that not exfoliating leads to clogged pores, but pores don't clog because exfoliating is missing. So if you don't exfoliate, pores may look more noticeable because there's more texture at the surface, not because pores are clogging more. And that's because clogging doesn't start at the surface. It starts inside the pore itself, when the cells lining the pore don't shed properly. And that's something the skin regulates on its own, so exfoliating at the surface doesn't control or correct it. So skipping exfoliation doesn't cause pores to clog. It mainly changes how smooth skin looks around the pore opening. And the same idea applies to product absorption. Your skin doesn't suddenly block ingredients just because you skipped exfoliation. What usually changes instead is the sensory experience at the surface. When the surface is smoother, products tend to glide more easily and feel more even going on. Without exfoliation, they may sit a little bit differently on the surface and feel heavier, less smooth or less elegant. But the change in how products feel doesn't mean that they stopped working biologically. So again, we're talking about surface experience, not a deeper skin function. And this is why some people feel better with exfoliation and others don't. For some skin, gentle exfoliation fits well and supports the surface without causing any problems. For other skin, leaving the surface alone works better because the skin is already shedding just fine on its own. Neither option is more correct. They're just different ways of managing the surface. So if you don't exfoliate, your skin doesn't fall apart. It doesn't stop renewing itself, and it doesn't become unhealthy by default. What changes, if anything, is how smooth, even or polished the surface looks and how products feel going on. And that distinction matters because instead of seeing exfoliation as something the skin needs in order to work, it's often more helpful to see it as a surface level tool that some skin finds useful and other skin doesn't need at all. Now, I hope that this helped clarify what actually happens if you don't exfoliate your skin. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!